Tonight was my 7th wedding anniversary with my wife, Isabella. Every year before, no matter how busy she was, she always came home to celebrate with me. But it was already 10 o'clock, and she wasn't back. I sat alone at a table laden with all her favorite dishes, every single one handmade by me. I called her half a dozen times, but each call went straight to voicemail. Finally, at midnight, her best friend, Chloe, called me. "Leo, Isabella's had way too much to drink at the club. I'm sending you the address. You got to come get her." I hung up and rushed out the door, driving across town to the address she'd sent. As I reached the door of the private room, about to push it open, I heard their voices from inside. "Izzy, it's been 10 years, Chloe was saying, a voice gentle. "You can't keep doing this. Don't you think you've mourned Carter Sterling long enough? Every year, on the anniversary of his death, you fall apart like you've lost a part of your soul. It's not fair to Leo." "She's right," another friend added. "Leo is so good to you. We all see it. Honestly, we're all jealous. You found a man who treats you like a queen. My husband just asked for my credit card. You need to let go of the past and live your life, Izzy." "You don't understand." Isabella's voice was thick with alcohol, but sharp with pain. "Carter died because of me. I was never going to get married, ever. But then I met Leo, and he looked so much like him. The first time I saw him, I thought for a second that Carter was still alive. So I pretended that fate had sent Carter back to me." The rest of their words faded into a dull roar in my ears. I stood there, frozen, for what felt like an eternity before I could get myself to move. When the voices inside died down, I finally pushed the door open. I didn't bother with my usual friendly greetings. I just walked over to Isabella, pulled her to her feet, and got her home. There was no hangover remedy waiting on the nightstand. I didn't run her a bath or wipe her face with a warm cloth. I didn't stay up all night, periodically giving her sips of water to make sure the alcohol didn't burn a hole in her stomach. I didn't even take off her clothes. I just dropped her onto the bed and left her there. I spent the rest of the night on the living room sofa, chain-smoking one cigarette after another until the sun came up. I met Isabella when she came into my family's restaurant. I wasn't much of a student, so after finishing high school, I started helping out at the family business. It wasn't a big place, but my dad was a culinary genius. He'd been a head chef at a Michelin-starred hotel before quitting over some personality clash and opening his own little spot in Brooklyn. Don't let the size fool you. Our food was so good, with the best ingredients and incredible flavor, that you had to book a table weeks in advance. One day, Isabella and her friends pulled up, each in a car that cost more than my college tuition would have. She stepped out of a Porsche, looked at our little restaurant with a dismissive frown, and said, "This is the great place you were all talking about. Are you guys being cheap? When I take you out, it's always to that rooftop place at the peninsula." Before she could finish, her friend cut her off. "My dearest Isabella, do not underestimate this little bistro. The food here is 10 times better than anything at the peninsula. Tell you what, if you try it and think I'm exaggerating, I'll book the entire rooftop tomorrow night just to apologize." Isabella didn't argue further. They went into their private room and ordered nearly half the menu. Back in the kitchen, my dad and I were a whirlwind of motion, pans flying. I must have inherited his gift, because in just a couple of years, I'd mastered most of his techniques. As fate would have it, when the last dish for their table was ready, our only server was suddenly hit with a stomach bug. The dish couldn't wait, so I took it out myself. When I opened the door, Isabella was sitting directly facing me, completely engrossed in her meal. The moment I saw her, I was stunned. I'd seen my fair share of actresses and models on TV and online, but I had never seen anyone so beautiful in real life. She was more gorgeous than any celebrity. She had this cool, almost ethereal aura, like an angel who didn't belong on Earth. Yet there she was, devouring the food I had made with gusto. I just stood there, mesmerized, until someone at the table laughed. "What are you staring at? Your eyes are going to fall out of your head." I snapped out of it, apologized, and set the dish down. That's when Isabella looked up and noticed me. Clatter! The glass in her hand fell to the floor, but she didn't seem to notice, her eyes wide as she stared at me. I thought she was angry that I'd been staring. I apologized again and quickly left the room. After that day, her group of trust fund kids came to our restaurant constantly, sometimes twice a day. One of them even suggested we start serving breakfast. Every time she came, Isabella would find an excuse to pop into the kitchen and talk to me. She said she loved the way my food tasted, and I loved talking to this stunningly beautiful woman. Then one day, she asked me to be her boyfriend. I thought she was joking. I didn't know exactly what she did, but the car she drove every day was something my dad and I couldn't afford even if we worked ourselves to the bone for 100 years. Sure, I'm a good-looking guy, but I knew I wasn't so handsome that a goddess-like heiress would be chasing after me. I turned her down a few times, telling her she was kidding or that she'd had too much to drink. One afternoon, she slapped a marriage license application down on the counter and told me she wanted to go straight to City Hall. That's when I realized she wasn't kidding. I was young, and honestly, I couldn't resist the temptation of a woman that beautiful. So we got married. She moved me into a sprawling mansion in the Hamptons. She gave my family a huge sum of money, enough for my dad to close the restaurant and retire comfortably. I stayed home, taking care of the house and her. The year after we got married, we had a son. It was only then that she took me to meet her parents. With a baby already in the picture, they couldn't really object, but I could feel they didn't approve of me. That's when I learned her family was the Van Cess, one of the most powerful families in New York. Isabella, however, was incredible to me. She was ridiculously generous with spending money, showered me with gifts almost daily, and bought me a whole new wardrobe of designer clothes. She was a workaholic, but in her free time, she loved to fuss over me. Her favorite pastime was dressing me up according to her tastes. I used to live in comfortable hoodies and jeans, but after marrying her, she styled me like a blue-blooded aristocrat. She even coached me on how to carry myself, how to move and speak to appear more sophisticated. Our son was taken to live at her parents' estate as soon as he was born. She told me her father had named him Vance Sterling Evans. I objected immediately. If you're going to name him after someone, it should be me, Vance Leo Evans. Why Sterling? She shot me a look. Your lack of culture is showing. Sterling. It's from a Tennyson poem. I scratched my head, embarrassed. I might have only finished high school, but I'd at least heard of Tennyson. Suddenly, a cry from the bedroom pulled me out of my memories. It was Isabella, awake and calling my name. I stubbed out my cigarette in the overflowing ashtray and lay back down on the sofa, pretending to be asleep. A few moments later, Isabella came downstairs. Seeing me on the couch, she didn't wake me. She went to take a shower, changed into clean clothes, and then came back to sit beside me, gently stroking my face. A wave of nausea hit me. She must be thinking of her ghost again. She sat there for so long that I had to do something. I let out a loud yawn and sat up, rubbing my eyes. "Honey, you're awake," she said. "What happened last night? You didn't even give me a shower, just left me in bed with my clothes on. My head is killing me, and my stomach feels awful. I've never felt this bad after drinking before." Normally, I would have already been rubbing her temples, getting a stomach-soothing broth ready to feed her myself. Now, I couldn't even stand to look at her. I turned away and lay back down. I think I came down with a cold last night. I felt weak and didn't want to get you sick, so I crashed on the sofa. Sorry I didn't get you any water or make you a hangover cure. It's okay, honey. You've always taken such good care of me. You're sick. I should take you to the doctor, she said, trying to help me up. It's fine, I just need to sleep it off. I hadn't slept a wink, and I was exhausted. Then I'll stay home from work today and take care of you. Don't. I'll be fine after some rest. Your company needs you. Go on. Call me if you need anything. Okay, then. Make sure you drink plenty of water. She fussed over me for a few more minutes before leaving, casting one last worried glance in my direction. Once the house was quiet, I fell into a deep sleep until noon. When I woke up, I pulled a container of frozen dumplings from the freezer. Pork and celery, my favorite. Isabella always preferred cucumber and egg. Even though they were simple ingredients, my own special recipe made them insanely delicious. Now that I knew I was just a substitute, there was no reason to stay. But I wasn't about to walk away with nothing. I could use the Vance family's influence to build something of my own. And what did I have? My cooking. I had already learned everything from my father, and these past few years of cooking for Isabella and her discerning, wealthy friends had only sharpened my skills. I decided to start with dumplings. If some foreign fast food chain could become a global brand with just pizza, then something 100 times better, like dumplings, steamed buns, pot stickers, and soup dumplings, could definitely be even more popular. I got to work immediately. I went to my dad and told him my idea. He was bored with retirement anyway and readily agreed. He started looking for a retail space and handling renovations while I stayed home, perfecting recipes for all kinds of savory pastries, striving for absolute perfection. Honey, why we've been eating nothing but dumplings and buns for the past few days? And you're making me take so many to give away. Can you please cook a few different dishes for dinner tonight? Isabella complained one morning as she was about to leave for work. Dad wants to open a chain of high-end pastry shops. I'm just running some experiments, I said. Since that night, I had been completely cold to her. I barely spoke unless she asked me a direct question, spending all my time making dumplings and buns. Chapter 4. But I gave my parents that money, she said, her brow furrowed with displeasure. That should be more than enough for them to live comfortably. If they need more, they could just tell me. We have enough money to last several lifetimes. They don't need to work so hard. She was probably worried that if people saw my parents running a small restaurant, it would reflect poorly on her. He just can't sit still, I said. Besides, he's in the back kitchen. No one will see him. Let him do what he wants. At his age, with no grandchildren to look after, it's easy to get depressed. Hearing this, Isabella thought I was complaining about her parents keeping her son away from mine. The truth was, even I rarely got to see him. Leo, are you trying to say? No. You know how that generation is. It's better to give them something to do. Leo, why do I feel like you've been so cold to me lately? Did your parents say something to you about the baby? Are you angry? Look, once I get through this busy period at work, I promise we can have another child. You know how things are at the office. I know. I get it. You should go to work. Drive safe. Soon, my gourmet dumpling shop opened. Just as I'd expected, it was a massive hit from day one. The flavor was undeniable, the variety was extensive, and the quick service was perfect for the fast-paced modern lifestyle. With a major boost from Isabella and her powerful friends, my dumplings became the top lunch choice for white-collar workers across the city. We quickly opened several more locations and registered a company to start producing a line of frozen gourmet dumplings, buns, and pot stickers. Then came the online marketing and influencer collaborations. Sales exploded. Soon, franchisees were lining up from all over the country. Isabella, with her sharp business acumen, saw the potential and personally helped me draft a growth strategy. She leveraged her network and connections, and in less than 6 months, my small shop had become a nationally recognized restaurant chain. Riding the wave of success, I launched my own chain of modern American barbecue restaurants. By sticking to authentic recipes, high-quality ingredients, and a unique flavor profile, it also quickly became a sensation. Of course, Isabella's contribution was the largest. She even put her own work on hold to personally manage the marketing campaigns. Once the dumpling and barbecue chains, as well as the online sales, were all running smoothly, I decided it was time to have a talk with Isabella. That night, I cooked a huge feast of all her favorite dishes. I called her and told her I had something important to discuss, asking her to come home early. She did. The moment she walked in, she threw her arms around me. I've been thinking all day, and I can't figure out what occasion this is. You made all my favorites. She plucked a peeled shrimp from a plate and popped it in her mouth, moaning with pleasure. Isabella, I said, pouring her a glass of wine, this is the last meal I'll ever cook for you. I've been thinking a lot, and I don't think we're right for each other. We should get a divorce. Her hand, reaching for another dish, froze. Then she smiled. Honey, it's not April Fool's Day. What kind of joke is this? We're doing great. Why would we split up? When she saw my serious expression, her smile vanished. Did you find someone else? Now that your company's big and you have money. It's true what they say. Men turn into pigs the second they get rich. I have money now, yes, but you're the only woman I've been with, I said, downing my glass of wine. I just don't want to be a substitute anymore. You don't love me. Can you please just let me go? Chapter 5. The woman who was always so composed suddenly had a flash of panic in her eyes. She grabbed my hand, her voice urgent. Leo, did someone say something to you? They're just jealous of us. You can't believe their lies. I know everything about you and Carter Sterling, I said. I finally understand why a woman from the great Vance family would chase after a cook from a little bistro. It's because I look almost exactly like him, isn't it? And for years, I was foolish enough to believe we had true love. Isabella, for the sake of the years I've taken care of you, Please just let me leave. I knew that with her family's power, if she didn't agree, I'd never be free. My fledgling business could be crushed overnight. My only move was to play the victim and appeal to her sympathy. Her expression fell, her eyes filled with a familiar sadness. Of course, mentioning her dead first love was bound to hurt. After a long silence, she finally spoke. Since you know everything, we can't go back to the way we were. Fine, I'll let you go. I'll give you a generous settlement. We'll file the papers tomorrow. After all, you're not him. I was shocked it was this easy. You've taken good care of me all these years. There's no need for settlement. Besides, you've helped me more than enough recently. I don't need anything. She looked at me and gave a small, unreadable smile. I never realized the man sleeping next to me all these years was so calculating. You must have known for a while, didn't you? Was it on our anniversary, when you came to pick me up from the bar? You heard everything we said? I nodded. Isabella was brilliant. She could figure it out with a moment's thought. The only way to play it was with honesty. We were married for a long time. I do have some feelings for you, she said. Stay with me one last time tonight. Tomorrow, I'll give you what you want. That night, she drank a lot. I made her my usual hangover cure and gave her a bath. As I was putting her to bed, she wrapped her arms around my neck and wouldn't let go. Let's do it one more time. I gave in. It was a farewell after all. And to be honest, her perfect body was still incredibly tempting. I barely slept. The next morning, my back aching, I made her breakfast. After we ate, we went and filed the paperwork. It was quick and clean. She gave me a large villa in a gated community, and I didn't refuse. That same day, I had my things moved in. Lying in bed that night, I thought it over. It hadn't been a total loss. I'd spent years with a beautiful woman, lived a life of luxury, and she had treated me well. Even if it was because she saw me as someone else, I was the one who ultimately benefited. For the next month, I poured all my energy into my business. My 2 restaurant chains were expanding nationwide, and I started planning our international launch. I took my team on a trip overseas to do some market research. It was time to let those foreigners who live on bread and burgers eat some real food. The day after I got back, Chloe called me. Leo. Mr. Evans, Isabella's drunk again. Can you come pick her up? Chloe, you know we're divorced, I said without hesitation. You should call her family. Besides, I don't have a maid here. I can't really give her a bath and all that. Chapter 6-inch Leo, you can't be that heartless. For the past few weeks, Isabella's been a mess. She's drunk out of her mind every single night, and she always ends up crying out your name, asking you to take her home. You're back in the country. Just help her out this once. As for the bath, you guys were married for years. You probably know how many hairs are on her. Fiend, he sighed. Send me the address. After everything she'd done for me, I couldn't just ignore her. Same place, same room. She hung up. I went over, exchanged a few awkward pleasantries with her friends, and then took Isabella home. I went through the familiar motions, made the hangover broth, wiped her down, changed her clothes, and put her to bed. I sat by her side, giving her sips of warm water throughout the night. No matter what, she was the woman I had loved for years. I couldn't bear to see her suffer. Just as dawn was breaking, I felt something soft on my lips. I opened my eyes. Isabella was awake, leaning over and kissing me. I quickly pushed her away, but she just looked at me with a playful smile. It's been a month. How did you manage to control yourself while you were washing me up yesterday? You're mistaken. I just wiped you down. I didn't touch anywhere private, I said, standing up to leave. You must be starving after getting sick last night. I'll go make you some breakfast. She grabbed my hand. Don't go anywhere. Just stay with me. Leo, let's get back together. Are you missing Carter Sterling again? I asked, throwing her own words back at her. Because, after all, I'm not him. No, honey, it's not like that. This month apart has made me see things clearly. Yes, before I saw you as him. I thought I loved him. But since you left, I haven't had a single happy day. At first, I thought it was just an adjustment, that I'd get used to it. But as the days went by, I didn't forget you. Instead, this anxiety grew inside me, this feeling that I had truly lost you. I'd come home to an empty house, no one to wrap their arms around me and ask about my day. I couldn't even eat the food the housekeeper made. And when I drank too much, even though she made me a hangover cure and gave me a bath, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, parched, my throat and stomach aching in the morning. Her face was wet with tears. I finally realized it's because you took such good care of me. I can't live without you. But I remained calm. Isabella, that's not love. Everything you just described is the work of a good butler, not a husband. If you're not happy with your staff, just hire better ones. Pay them enough, they'll do anything you want. Chapter 7. No, Leo, I never saw you as a butler. I'm just not saying it right, she pleaded. I admit, for years, I treated you like him. So when you were good to me, I saw it as his goodness. When you were gentle and caring, I thought that's just how he would have been. So when you asked for a divorce, I just thought, he's only a substitute. He found out, so I'll just find another one. But when you really left, it hit me. Your personalities are nothing alike. Carter was a spoiled, rich kid, arrogant and impulsive. He would never have been as gentle as you. Since we were on the topic, I decided to lay it all out. I sat down on the edge of the bed. I think we need to be clear about this. Yes, for years, you were very good to me on the surface. But can you even imagine how I felt the moment I realized I was just a stand-in? All the things that never made sense before suddenly clicked into place. You wanted to give me a nickname, Sterling. You said it was because, like sterling silver, I was a constant and precious presence in your world. Even when we made love, at the height of your passion, you'd cry out his name. And you were obsessed with giving me vintage jerseys, rare sneakers, and collectibles from all these basketball stars. I don't even like basketball, but you filled an entire room with that stuff. Gifts for me that you wouldn't even let me touch. I remember one time I went in there out of boredom and picked up a sign ball. You stormed in and slapped me. It was the only time you ever laid a hand on me. And our son, you named him Sterling. Our wedding anniversary is the day Carter died. I always wondered why I could never find you during the day on our anniversary, and why you'd always come home late with your eyes swollen from crying. And my wedding ring, I only saw it for a second. On the day of the wedding, you claimed you lost it, so we skipped the ring exchange. You replaced it later, but a blind man could see it wasn't part of a matching set. Let me guess, the original is with Carter, isn't it? I could go on and on. Do you really want me to list everything? She was crying so hard she couldn't speak, just shaking her head. I stopped and left the room to make her breakfast. When she came out, her eyes were red and swollen, but she seemed calmer. Leo, until you said all that just now, I never realized how awful I was. That night, you must have been in so much pain, staying up all night on the couch. The day I found out, the emotional turmoil was so intense, I ended up in the emergency room with heart palpitations. Ever since, intense stress triggers the same chest pains. It's in the past, I said. Eat. I'll take you home after. She didn't argue. After breakfast, I drove her home. She wasn't in any condition to go to work. Another 3 months of peace passed. My father and I were busy developing a new concept, an exclusive, high-end, members-only dining club called the Aegis Club. We spent our days experimenting with how to elevate classic American cuisine to prove that it could be as refined and sophisticated as any other. A few months later, the Aegis Club opened. It was an instant success, reservation only with a tiered membership system. To my surprise, there was a line out the door on opening day, with most people signing up for the highest tier lifetime membership. It wasn't until I saw Isabella walk in that I understood why. She smiled as she approached, as captivating as ever. Impressive, Mr. Evans. Business seems to be booming. Thanks to you, I'm sure, I said, handing her a black card. This is a lifetime membership. You can dine for free at any of my establishments, anytime. She took it, then leaned in and whispered in my ear, "It sounds like you plan on taking care of me for the rest of my life. I suppose I'll have to repay you with my body." Chapter 8. Stop joking, I said, though a small smile crept onto my face. I owe my success to you. This is the least I can do. Here, look at this, she said, handing me a small document folder. I opened it. It was a copy of our son's birth certificate. Under his name, where it once said Vance Sterling Evans, it now read Vance Leo Evans. Leo, I've erased every trace of him. Are you ready to come home? You were right, you are not him. But I know for a fact now that you are the man I love. I don't expect you to take me back right away, but I'm going to do everything I can to earn a second chance. Before I could respond, she turned and walked away. The domestic expansion was going smoothly, but I still lacked the capital for a major international push. As I was trying to figure out financing, Chloe called, saying she needed to talk. I I told her to come to the Aegis Club. As a top-tier member, she booked a private room and texted me when she arrived. She got straight to the point. Leo, is there really no chance for you and Izzy? Isabella's friends used to come over all the time. I always cooked for them and took good care of them, and I'd often overhear them telling Isabella to treat me better. I never understood what they meant back then. I thought she already treated me perfectly. No chance, I said, opening a bottle of expensive bourbon and pouring her a glass. You all know the story. She never loved me. I was just a placeholder. That's not true. She really does love you now. You have no idea what she's become. She works herself to the bone all day and drinks herself into a stupor all night. She wasn't even this devastated when Carter died. As Isabella's best friend, her concern was palpable. I raised my glass and clinked it against hers, then drank it down. Maybe she just hasn't found a suitable replacement yet. As her best friend, you should help her look. Chloe stared at me as if I were a stranger. This wasn't the kind, attentive man she used to know. I can't believe how cruel you've become. Yes, Isabella was wrong to use you as a substitute, but you can't deny how well she treated you for all those years. I came here to tell you the full story about her and Carter. It turned out Carter Sterling and Isabella grew up together. He was the arrogant heir to another fortune, and he'd been obsessed with the beautiful Isabella since they were kids. She, however, couldn't stand the spoiled brat, but she tolerated him because their families were close. One day, Carter cornered her in a room and demanded, Isabella, I love you. What do I have to do to make you be with me? Isabella, hugging a teddy bear and not even looking at him, said flippantly, if you can free climb the Empire State Building by dawn tomorrow, I'll agree to go out with you. Chapter 9. She only said it to get him to leave her alone. She never dreamed he'd actually do it. But Carter, stubborn and reckless, ran out, bought the best climbing gear he could find, and hired 2 professional climbers to assist him. Isabella only found out when a friend called her in a panic. She rushed downtown. He was only 5 or 6 stories up when she got there, and she stood on the street below, screaming at him to come down. Startled to see her, Carter got distracted. He missed a handhold and fell. Isabella ran to him, cradling his bloody body in her arms that he was trembling, his words broken. Izzy, I really love you. I just hope you don't forget me. Before he could finish, the hand he was trying to raise to her face went limp. From that day on, Isabella never dated anyone. She was consumed by guilt, believing her foolish words had killed the man who loved her most. She understands now, Chloe finished. What she felt for Carter wasn't love. It was guilt, an obligation. It was the trauma of watching someone die in her arms. She just wanted to atone. Can you understand that? I didn't answer, just slowly stood up. Let me make you a few of your favorite appetizers to go with the bourbon. I'm not here to eat, Chloe said, looking at me as I stood there, silent, glass in hand. I just can't stand watching my best friend destroy herself. But think about this. Her obsession with Carter had one silver lining. Look at the rest of our social circle. Everyone fools around, even the married ones. But the only man who has ever been with Isabella Vance is you. She set her glass down and stood up. Anyway, the real reason I came is to talk about investing in the overseas expansion of your restaurant group. We've put together $1 billion for you. According to a certain someone's projections, that should be enough. I have to go. As she passed me, she patted my shoulder. Do good work. Just as she reached the door, I called out, how did you know I needed funding for the international launch? She turned back with a knowing smile. She knows your every move. You'll regret it if you don't take care of my lovesick friend. With the funding secured, the international project moved forward at lightning speed. Affordable, delicious, and authentic American food was a huge hit with foreign customers. The pace of expansion was staggering. Soon, my restaurant empire had gained a significant global presence. I was getting interview requests from major media outlets and, to my astonishment, an invitation to compete in the World Culinary Grand Prix. The competition was held once every 4 years, the culinary world's equivalent of the Olympics, and the invitees were the most renowned chefs on the planet. It was the perfect opportunity to solidify my company's international brand. For the next 2 months, I would need to focus completely on studying the competition rules and refining classic dishes for a competitive format. The day after I received the invitation, Isabella showed up. She had lost weight in the months since I'd last seen her, and she looked exhausted. Seeing the woman I had loved for so long looking so fragile still twisted my gut. "Leo," she said, her voice businesslike, but her eyes soft. "This competition is a huge opportunity for you. You need to focus. Leave the company to me." Even after all this time, she still called me her pet name. I didn't correct her. It was just a word. Looking at this woman who always seemed to know exactly what I needed, I found I could face her calmly now, without the anger that used to boil up inside me. I gave her a genuine smile. "And what's your fee, Ms. Vance?" It was the first time I'd smiled at her since the divorce. A flicker of surprise and joy crossed her face. This titan of industry, who never flinched in the boardroom, was visibly struggling to contain her elation. "You trust me that much? Aren't you afraid you'll come back from the competition to find your company gone?" Chapter 10. "You've put more into this company than I have," I said. I meant it. "Besides, you and your friends are the majority shareholders in the international division. Without her, my ambition would have probably stalled out at the state level. I was confident in my food, but I never could have achieved global reach in just over a year on my own." Perhaps sensing the thaw in my attitude, the woman the world saw as an ice queen could no longer hold back. She closed the distance between us in 2 quick steps and threw her arms around me. "Leo, it's been over a year. Why won't you forgive me? Do you have any idea what my life has been like without you? I know I was wrong, but can't you also remember all the good times we had?" In my arms, she shed all her armor, crying like a lost little girl. I gently patted her back. "Isabella, there's still a part of me that's hurt. Give me a little more time. After the competition, I'll give you an answer. I promise." The day of the competition arrived. Isabella had cleared her entire schedule to act as my assistant. I don't know why, but having her by my side made me feel incredibly calm. Maybe it was because she had a knack for making everything run perfectly. The tournament was a 4-round elimination bracket with 40 chefs. Each round, half the competitors were cut. For my first dish, I chose braised pork belly. "You Westerners think you're too good for fatty cuts. I'll make you beg for more." I used a prime cut, slow braising it for 5 hours, then letting it rest for another 5, rendering it impossibly tender, yet still holding its shape. Then I seared it to a perfect crisp. As I expected, the judges gave me top marks. I advanced to the next round in first place. For the second round, I considered using sweetbreads, but Isabella was vehemently against it. "They could handle the pork belly because it was cut and presented beautifully," she argued. "But if you send out a plate of sweetbreads, some of the more conservative foreign judges might not even taste it." "What about fried chicken feet?" I teased. She shot me a glare. "Be serious, Leo. This competition is our chance to put the company on the global map. You can't risk it just to prove a point." I took her advice. My second round dish, a perfectly executed beef Wellington, won them over completely. For the third round, I made something deceptively simple. Cacio e pepe. Perhaps the elegant simplicity appealed to their palates, because every single judge cleaned their plate. In the final round, there were 5 of us left. 3 Europeans, a chef from Japan, and me. This time, there was a host on stage, a Japanese man. My final dish was an incredibly complex seafood consommé, my version of a showstopper. Isabella had sourced the absolute finest ingredients, and I had spent 2 days preparing a rich, layered broth. After simmering for 8 hours, the dish was flawless. As the judges lifted the lids off their individual bowls, an intoxicating aroma filled the entire auditorium. Incredible. I've been a judge for 20 years, and this is the first time I've wanted to award the championship based on scent alone. Smells amazing. Tastes even better. There's one flaw with this dish. What's that? The portion is too small. When the Japanese chef's dish was presented, a platter of minimalist sushi and sashimi, the host began to speak. "The esteemed judges here are all people of great experience. You know that the quality of a dish is not determined by taste alone, but by the culture it represents, the story it tells. A truly great judge considers all of these things, for to understand a region's culinary culture is to truly understand food." He then launched into a long, elaborate story about the dish's history. "When it comes to marketing, nobody beats the Japanese. I remembered a Japanese restaurant in New York that sold a single skewer of grilled egg yolk for over $200 after the chef gave a 10-minute speech about its origin. Honestly, the Japanese chef's dish was simple. If you like raw fish, it was fine. If you didn't, you couldn't eat it. But if you dare to say you didn't like it, you'd be labeled as uncultured. Before the judges could even taste it, I picked up a microphone. I don't know who hired this host, but it's clear that aside from verbally blackmailing the judges, he knows nothing about food. The Japanese host looked mortified, but quickly recovered. Sir, are you suggesting that a region's culinary culture should not be respected? I didn't even look at him, addressing the audience instead. In this day and age, are we still falling for the emperor's new clothes? He tells a story, and suddenly, if you don't vote for his guy, you're an ignorant fool. He's treating you all like idiots. There is only one iron law in gastronomy: flavor. Every dish has only two settings: delicious or not delicious. What does understanding have to do with it? This host talks about respecting every culture's food. By that logic, you must be a big fan of kiviak, the Inuit dish of fermented seabirds. You just suck the liquefied insides out of the bird's anus. If you don't like it, I guess you just don't understand their culture. After my tirade, the host scurried off the stage in disgrace. Unsurprisingly, the Japanese chef received the lowest score. I won the championship by a landslide. Holding the trophy, I ran off the stage and handed it to Isabella. Then, I pulled out the ring I had prepared. Isabella, this time, I'm the one asking. Marry me. Tears streamed down her face as she nodded. I pulled her into a tight embrace and kissed her as the crowd roared its approval. I met Leo Evans at his family's little bistro. The first time I saw him, I froze. I never thought two people could look so much alike. He looked just like a man from my past, someone who had died because of my own foolish words. For years, I couldn't forgive myself. When I saw Leo, I felt like the universe had sent him back so I could make amends. I pursued him, and he became my husband. At first, I admit he was just a substitute. But as the days turned into years, the lines began to blur. My husband was so good to me. I used to spend my free time at wild parties, drinking until I passed out. But his presence changed my life. He didn't forbid me from going out, but he helped me find a balance. My life became healthier, more stable. I thought we would be happy like that forever. But then he found out my secret, and our perfect life shattered. I, in my arrogance, believed that because of my wealth and his humble background, he would never leave me. He didn't confront me right away. Instead, he built his own empire, using my help to create a restaurant chain that spread across the country. And then he asked for a divorce. I was too proud to beg him to stay. I was sure he would be the one to regret it. But I was the one who was wrong. At work, there were no more of his special nutrient-packed smoothies or my favorite homemade pastries. I come home to an empty house, with no one to welcome me into their arms and massage my tired feet. He used to call and text constantly when I worked late, reminding me to rest, to drive safely. At the time, I found it annoying. Now, I found myself staring at my phone, hoping for a message that never came, scrolling through old texts just to feel a phantom warmth. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. When he returned from a business trip, I had my best friend call him, telling him to pick me up from a bar. He hesitated, but he came. He took me home and cared for me just like he used to, though the one thing that stung was that he was so proper when cleaning me up, showing no sign of temptation. The next day, I begged him to come home, but instead he told me about all the pain I had caused him over the years. I hadn't realized how cruel I had been. I went home, defeated. I felt I had no right to ask for his forgiveness again. I resolved to live out my life alone. But my friends, seeing me so broken, encouraged me to fight for him. They told me my feelings for Carter were an obsession born of guilt, that Leo was the only man I had ever truly been with, that my heart was still his. Their words gave me strength. I went home and cleared out the entire room of Carter's memorabilia, throwing away every jersey, every sign ball. I threw away the ring. I had my son's name legally changed. I erased every last trace of Carter Sterling from my life. Finally, I went to his grave and said goodbye for the last time. Then I heard Leo was expanding overseas, but lacked funding. My friends and I pooled together $1 billion to help him conquer the international market. As his fame grew, he was invited to the World Culinary Grand Prix. I used it as an excuse to get back into his life, to help him manage his business. To my relief, his attitude toward me had softened. My hope was rekindled. During the competition, I was by his side every step of the way, helping him plan and strategize. Unsurprisingly, he won. And then he came down from the stage and proposed to me. I said yes. When we got back home, he was more passionate than ever. He said he'd been holding back for a long time. I held him tight, vowing that from now on, I would never let anyone hurt him again. Not even me. We brought our son home to live with us. The next year, I became pregnant with twin boys. I insisted they both take my husband's last name. I know now that our life will be happy and full forever